My guest today is Adam Timbrook, a record-holding powerlifter and the coach behind Timbrook Training System. Adam, you've built something serious in the powerlifting world, and today I want to talk about the sacrifices you've made and the mental battle of proving to yourself and the people you love that all of those sacrifices were worth it. Before we go deep, can you share how you got into powerlifting and some of your PRs?
Well, right now, my current PRs, in the gym, I've squatted, are right around 600 pounds. In competition, I believe it was about 573 pounds. Bench press in the gym at about 455 pounds, and I've hit about 441 pounds in competition. And in the gym and in competition, I've deadlifted 606 pounds. As far as like getting into powerlifting and training in general, it all started back when I was like in eighth grade, actually. I was really young. I was like 12 years old, started lifting. And I just wanted to become better. I was always very young for my grade. I was very small. Kids are starting to like hit puberty, like they're starting to get bigger, quicker, and things like that. And I was not yet. So I was like, okay, like how can I like figure out how to kind of catch myself up? So I started getting in the gym a little bit, nothing serious. Like it was just kind of like basic stuff. I was just benching, curling, things like that. I really didn't know what I was doing, but immediately kind of realized that I was pretty good at it. And it was just for sports in general. Like I just wanted to be better at like football, track, things like that I was playing. But I soon realized like I caught up to people older than me and started passing them, as far as strength wise pretty early on. And so I kind of realized like, oh, like strength is like weight training is something I'm actually like pretty good at. And then that kind of just continued with me. Once I got into high school, where I actually I moved to Green Bay, Wisconsin, transferred to a little bit bigger of a high school. And we actually had a strength and conditioning coach. His name was Andy. And he kind of taught me a lot, actually put me in some structure, gave me structure for training and things like that, and gave me actual coaching and stuff like that. And it actually helped a ton. And I kind of saw myself just like balloon up. Like I gained like 20 pounds in like a year. And that kind of continued to just compound over the course of my high school career. I found my body was able to put on muscle very quickly, and I was able to get stronger kind of like just at will. But of course, the main goal was always football. And so I was like, all right, I'm trying to be a better football player. And it did help a lot. But the biggest thing was once I was done playing football, I still had that competitiveness inside me. I still needed to be competitive. I just always am like comparing myself and things like that. And some people don't like to do that. It hurts them. But for me, it helps me. Like I like to see people better than me. And I'm like, okay, I need to beat this person. And so I was like, well, I still continued working out after I was done playing football. And I was like, well, I'm squatting, I'm benching. How about I just learn to deadlift and do a powerlifting competition one day? And I was like, whatever, I'll sign up for one, watch a couple of YouTube videos on how to train for a powerlifting competition for a little bit, applied some of the same structure techniques that my strength coach had taught me in high school, and I loved it. I fell in love with it immediately after my first competition. I was like, okay, this is super cool. I was not like the best at it, but I was in a good spot. From being my first competition ever, I was pretty strong already. So I was like, okay, clearly if I actually like get into this and actually train specifically for this sport and do that over the course of a few years, like I think I could be very good at this. So I just spent all my time learning as much as I can about programming, training, nutrition, everything I could, recovery, to try to make me a better powerlifter. And now that's kind of gotten me to where I am now.
And now you're an expert coaching others. I'm curious though, how does the competition to get stronger as a football player compared to the competition to get stronger as a powerlifter?
It's a little bit different. Obviously, lots of football players are incredibly strong. Like they're incredibly strong and they're extremely athletic. But you soon realize once you start training solely for the purpose of just being strong and no longer that athletic kind of like being quick and fast and being able to jump and like being like very like like fast twitchy like stuff like that. Once you take that kind of out of it, like that type of training out of it, and you only focus on the squat, the bench, the deadlift, and just putting more muscle on and getting as strong as you can, you realize that football players aren't as strong as think they are. Like I thought I was very strong, and then I started training with like really strong powerlifters, and I was like, oh, I am not that strong. Like my numbers are not that good. And I was like, okay, so I got some ways to go here. And that kind of was like it was cool because in the football weight room, I was typically like the strongest guy in the weight room, no matter where I was. Even in college, once I got to college, I played a year in college, and I would lift with like the O linemen because they were the only guys like bench pressing as much as I was bench pressing. So I'd have to train with the bigger guys. But then once I stopped and went powerlifting, I realized I was like, okay, yeah, like clearly there's levels to this. So it kind of just opened my eyes to like new levels of strength that I could achieve. And I know with how I am, my abilities, especially like in the gym and my strength training abilities, I know I can get there. It just takes time.
I love those moments of realization when there's always, even at the highest levels, there's always another level to achieve. You said a big part of what drives you is proving to yourself and the people you love that all of the sacrifices were worth it. What are some of those specific sacrifices?
We didn't have a lot of money growing up. So I knew I was gonna have to either pay my way through college or find a different way to get there. And so I was like, okay, well, athletics is tends to be where I'm particularly a bit more gifted at. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna just give it my all. And so it was difficult because it was like, I couldn't really get to like the fancy like camps that kids go to all the time, the like 7-on-7 tournaments that people go for to like get recruited and things like that. So just recruitment in general, I didn't really have that many sources to like kind of go to and reach out to. Just couldn't really afford to do those things. And so that was a little bit difficult, but it was just really cool because like my parents backed me 100%. My mom, she gave me all her support. She knew I was capable of doing these things, and she's like, just do you, just be you. And she allowed me to kind of do those things. And it was funny because honestly, like if you asked her, like she doesn't understand why I put so much pressure on myself to achieve the things I want, I like my goals and the things I wanted to achieve. She, in her mind, like she would have been just happy if I would have I didn't need to be I didn't need to play sports. I didn't need to do any of these things. I feel like you'll see it a lot in sports where athletes feel like they kind of grab onto something and they use that as their motivation to push themselves, to push past those limits that they typically wouldn't be able to unless they had these motivators. For me, it was literally just trying to make my family proud and showing to them that I could do these things that I told them I was going to do.
Yeah, and I can definitely tell it comes from a place of love, and you're spot on that there is a specific motivator for all athletes. And it's cool that you realized it that, even all the way back as early as middle school, you started thinking that way. So you've obviously made a lot of sacrifices to get to the place that you're at. What do you think is one of the biggest sacrifices that you've made to get to this point?
Honestly, it's probably just like living life. Like when you want to achieve certain things, you kind of restrict yourself a lot. You strip things away. Like when your friends are saying like, "Hey, we're going to this party," it's like, "Oh, sorry, I can't. I have to train tomorrow." You know what I'm saying? Things like that. You kind of take those things away, and you're like, and some people like call. Some people will be like, "Bro, like you're lame. Like you're not like why are you doing that? Like you're boring. Like you don't do anything besides work out, go to school, eat, like whatever. It's boring. Like why do you do that? Like that doesn't make sense." And in my mind, I'm like, well, to the average person, that's not going to make sense. If you want to not be average, these sacrifices kind of have to occur at some point. Once you reach a certain level, it's like you cannot continue to progress unless you make those sacrifices. And so that's kind of a realization I made. Like once I like was in high school, I was like, okay, like I need to start taking these things seriously, dialing in on certain things like my nutrition, my hydration, my sleep, my recovery, things like that. And especially now more than ever in powerlifting, it's like those things are multiplied even times 10. It's like if you're not dialed in on every single one of those things, once you get to like a certain strength level, it can make or break your training session. It can make or break your competition. So it's like if you're not dialed in, it can just wreck your day and make your day just like shit. So it's something that I've had to come to terms with and just be like, and like even my family's like I go with my families and they're like, "Hey, you want to have a drink?" And I'm like, "No, sorry, I'm not gonna drink tonight." I almost never do drink 'cause I'm like, well, I'm not gonna drink tonight because I have to train in tomorrow, and if I do that, it's gonna mess that up. And people just don't really understand that. So that's probably something I've realized.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, the more you dive into the powerlifting world and you surround yourself or just educate yourself on like-minded people, is it true that it doesn't feel as much of a sacrifice once you start to educate or surround yourself with those type of people?
Yeah, 100%. Because especially in my gym where I train at right now, we have like a good community, and they all are similar. We're all like-minded. We're all very similar goals, similar ideas. So it's like instead of saying, let's go out to the bars and get and drink tonight, it's like, oh, let's just hang out and make some food and chill out.
Was there a moment where you stopped questioning whether it was worth it or not, where you just said, "Fuck it, this is my life and I'm going to live it how I want"?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It was definitely once I left college, I was like, and I kind of went all in on powerlifting, training, coaching, everything like that. It kind of clicked, and I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you talk to a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, but you're missing out on the college experience, things like that. And I'm like, well, that's not an experience that I want. It's not an experience that I'm looking for. It's not an experience I'm seeking. What I'm seeking is what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to just get better at I'm just trying to reach these goals. I'm trying to expand my coaching business. I'm trying to become a better athlete. I'm trying to become a better fiance for my fiance. It's all those things. It's just like I would rather prioritize these things and just do these things that I know I have these goals set out. I love these things. I don't need to go out and hang out with you every weekend and kind of do these things that a normal 21 or 22-year-old would do.
I'm curious how this shows up in your coaching business. If someone is questioning whether those sacrifices are worth it, what would you tell them?
It really just kind of depends on their goals and how bad they want it. Because like when I'm coaching people, I have people that are like they're just like they want to get stronger. They want to powerlift. They enjoy powerlifting, but at the same time, they understand that like they're like, hey, my goal is not to be at in the top 1% of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like their goal is not to be that person. They don't need to be that person. Their goal is to just steadily make progress over time and just continue to improve, but without making those sacrifices. They want to enjoy their life. They want to have fun, and that's totally fine. I tell them like, hey, like if that's you're comfortable with that and that's your goal and that's what you want to do, then that's totally fine. As long as you're aware that your progress may be impeded by that, it may not be as linear as you would like. Your progress is going to kind of do some of this, right? Like you might have those ups and downs. But if I have an athlete who expresses to me that their goal is to become this elite level powerlifter and they want to achieve these certain things, and then they're like going out, they're not doing these things correctly. They're not prioritizing their nutrition. They're not prioritizing their hydration. They're having terrible nights of sleep because they're like going out with their friends, things like that. And then they come and then they send me their feedback for the day and they're like, oh, I had a bad workout, probably because I went out last night with my friends until 3 a.m. and then I had to come and train at 8 a.m. It's like, okay, well, that's maybe let's not stay up till 3 a.m. next time. Be smart, maybe come back a little bit earlier, go to bed, make sure you have dinner, make sure you wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, have your water, things like that. And I kind of just harp on them. I'm like, hey, you told me this is what you want. If you want this, you got to prove it. You got to show it.
Yeah, we're definitely not robots, and it sounds like you're trying to keep the person in line with what their goals or their outcomes might be. So I know those habits are very important. I'm curious, in Adam's world, what are three of your top habits?
I would say number one is just for me in general is hydration. First thing I do every morning is I actually drink 28 ounces of water with a scoop of electrolytes in it. Kind of any other like electrolyte supplement you'll find. I always do 28 ounces of water with a scoop of electrolytes first thing in the morning, just to replenish the fluids I lost while I'm sleeping. Because generally when you wake up in the morning, you're in a very dehydrated state. And so replenishing those fluids immediately is the quickest way to just immediately get rehydrated, wake up a little bit. If you're like someone who workouts or trains in the morning, doing that will be a night and day difference between how you feel in the gym. So that's something I do every morning, regardless of if I'm training or not. It just really helps kind of keep me hydrated. Number two would probably be I try to stick to minimum of 7 hours of sleep every night. So like if I go to bed at midnight, earliest I'll wake up is like 7 a.m. usually or something like that. And that obviously can vary depending on just things I need to get done, things I'm doing. If I have to wake up earlier than that because of I have something going on, or if something comes up and I can't get 7 hours of sleep, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, the best number, like everyone here is like, you hear everyone say 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep. And that's great, but usually 7 hours of sleep is like the bare minimum for me at least. Like again, it's the bare minimum. I would rather get 8 hours of sleep, but if I'm getting 7 hours of sleep consistently, I usually feel well rested. Come into the gym, I'm not just feeling super beat up, super sore, super aches and pain or anything like that. So that helps a ton. And then my third habit I would say it would probably just be I always prioritize nutrition going into the gym. So it's like again, like I keep talking about hydration, nutrition, sleep. But when it comes to powerlifting, those things are really probably the biggest things. It makes the world of a difference. So if you can be always like kind of replenishing your glycogen, getting in your carbohydrates, things like that. So before the gym, about an hour out of the gym, I always try to eat anywhere from like 50 to 100 grams of carbs, depending on what type of carb it is. Like usually it's white rice or something like that. That can kind of be a little bit closer to the gym. But if it's more complex carbohydrate like bread or pasta, that could be a little bit further away from the gym. But typically I stay on top of that just to make sure I come to the gym. I'm feeling nourished. I'm feeling strong. My energy levels are up. I mean, if I don't eat anything before the gym and I go in either fasted or I haven't eaten in a few hours, then that's when I start to notice my energy levels drop really fast. I might feel a little shaky, if my blood sugar's crashing as I'm training. Um, just so little tiny details like that really make the world of difference of how I'm feeling day in and day out inside the gym.
What's something that very few people know about Adam?
All right. Well, I guess something that the most 99% of people wouldn't don't know this about me. Besides, I'd say my fiance. So when I was a kid, I actually started training for I always tell people like, hey, like I got in the gym because of sports. My first kind of introductory was training was actually because when I was younger, we were living with my little sister's dad, he was my stepdad at the time. Kind of was just a little bit of a messed up situation at times, and so he was abusive in some situations. And so the biggest thing that actually got my first introductory into lifting weights and training was because I kind of felt like it was like I needed like to I thought I could grow up and get bigger and kind of like protect my family, protect me, protect my mom, things like that. And so that was definitely my first introductory into lifting weights and training. And it kind of followed with me into sports. Like obviously sports then later down the line became the focus, but that same sort of kind of like mentality of like I need to be better. I need to get bigger. I need to improve. I need to be able to protect. I need to be like kind of become like the man of the house kind of idea and mentality stuck with me for a long time. And I honestly like it helped in many ways, but obviously didn't. It did and didn't at the same time. Um, but it kind of just kind of had this. Again when I was in the gym, I was able to flip that switch and kind of was able to use that as internal motivation to just train really, really hard. So that definitely helped me a lot growing up, just becoming kind of who I became.
Hey, man, I appreciate you sharing that. And you're certainly not the only one who's felt that way. So, that story probably resonates with a lot more people than you would even think to imagine. Adam, the idea of simple wins is more than just the competition. What does simple wins mean to you?
Simple wins. Actually, so I kind of was thinking about this before we started because in sports and in powerlifting specifically, it's like you're not gonna have not every day is gonna be perfect. And so something I preach to myself, preach to my athletes, everything like that, is I say just find small wins, find simple wins, or if you would, find the small wins in every single day. Find something that is you can say, hey, that was a win today, because that will just help kind of I feel like it just helps keep your head on straight because like I can come into the gym and I might be doing my squat workout for the day. Like I have like my squats, and my squats might feel terrible. And like I might come to the gym and I'm like, dang, like, my squats feel really shitty today. Like what's going on? And the issue I see with a lot of people is when they run into that situation, the first idea is to just like, okay, this sucks. I don't want to be here anymore because my squats aren't going good. So I'm just gonna kind of go through the motions and then get out of here as fast as I can. But I feel like something that really kind of drives that simple win mentality into someone is like, okay, like squats didn't go well today, but let's find a different aspect that I can make go well. So it's like once I'm done with my squats, okay, I have my leg presses, I have my hamstring curls, I have my RDLs, things like that, my accessory movements afterwards. Let's go make those as good as I possibly can and push those really hard, get a big pump and just feel really good afterwards. Feel really good with myself. Say, hey, my squats didn't go well, but I pushed myself really hard that workout. So I can undeniably say like my squats may have not gone well, but I for sure got better this session. And you can apply that to any sport. Like if you're a football player, say you're an O lineman and you're just going through the motions during like individual time, like your individual drills. Maybe that could be like, hey, like, and then you get to team time and you're missing blocks, and it's like, why am I not performing the way I want to perform? It's like, okay, it's because I was going through the motions during my individual drills where I'm supposed to be working on my technique and things like that. So next practice, come in, prioritize those individual drills, make sure you're dialed in on those, go through, push them as hard as you can, and prioritize getting better during those individual drills, and then I guarantee it'll reflect and transfer to team time when you're actually making those blocks, making plays, and they just kind of stack on top of each other and compound every session.
Adam, you're very clearly an expert in the world of powerlifting, and you've got a great mentality. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok. Instagram, it's just my name, adam.timbrook10. And then TikTok, it's my coaching TikTok. It's at Timbrook Training Systems.
Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. It was a great time.